Part of the reason the garage is so important is it really just is my space where I can just come out into, and it's already set up. It's always ready. And I've always been into cars, I've always been into mechanical things. I used to race BMX bikes, I used to service my own bikes, and so having a space where I can do those type of things has always been important. I'm Jonathan Winterkorn. Live here in Lebanon, Ohio. I'm a tax accountant. I'm not a hardcore mechanic. I don't tear down engines and things like that, but I'm a car guy. I've always been a car guy. Before I had cars, I was a car guy. Really, it started early for me. I raced BMX bikes when I was like 10 years old. I'd wake up at 6 a.m., take my bike apart, service it, lube it, get it all ready for the race. My dad would wake up at 8 o'clock, we would go out to the race. And so it was just part of my thing. At 12 years old, I had a Craftsman 255-piece Craftsman mechanic set. My parents got it for me because I would actually use my dad's tools. And so they're just like, here, these are yours. And so yeah, it's really just been from then on. Worked on my own cars in high school with buddies. In California, we had a bunch of old Bugs and stuff like that. That was like the popular cars. And so, whether it's doing my own brake job or, swapping out wheels, having a space where I can do those type of things has always been important. So this is like my fourth garage, and so it's really been an evolution of where I've come from. And so when I grew up, there was never a car parked in our garage. Our garage was house space, it wasn't garage space. We had freezers in those garages. We stored, back in the day, you buy all your soda at Costco, those were stacked in the garage. And so everything I ever did growing up, working on cars, working on bikes, working on everything, was always done in the driveway because there wasn't space to even pull a car into the garage. That, I think, maybe started with my need to have my own space in the garage where I can work. I used to have to sometimes move tires out of the way so that I could get underneath the car, because I only had so much space in a 3-car garage. You just want to have a space set up in the way that is intuitive for you, that is, easy to use. So for me, the garage has to be big enough. And I think that's been part of my progression from 2 to 3 to 4-car garage, is making sure that everything's big enough. If you don't have enough space, then it's really hard to add a foot. If you don't need the foot, it doesn't really matter. So I've got a space where I can work, and then I got the space where I can clean. I really do like it because it allows me to have 2 separate work areas that don't interfere with each other. Part of the process that working with the team was so good was that it was a very structured environment. We would get on calls and it was iterative. I spent a lot of time measuring. I spent time with Kyle. We tried things in different places to see what made the most sense from the space. The first design is nothing like the final design. I had some ideas. I wanted a cabinet array. I thought I wanted a lev rack. I knew I wanted the lift in here. So I kind of had those big picture things, and they were kind of like, okay, in this design we have the 2 garages, and so can I make the other space something useful? And so it was like, that's where I'm gonna have my wash and my vacuum. We originally had the vacuum and the pressure washer kind of in the middle of the wall. And we said, well, that doesn't make sense. People are gonna bang car doors into it. So we moved it closer to the back wall. You can really use their expertise. I would have never figured out how to do the lighting piece. They knew how to get the lighting right. The lighting's perfect in here. We don't have any shadows. Just a lot of insight of things that I wouldn't have thought of, even though I've done so many garages. I've made the progression over time from space to space to space. Hopefully it's the last garage I build, and so I wanted it to have all the elements that I knew I wanted it to have, and I've been doing this enough years that I know what the elements are that are important to me. And so I made sure and took care of all of those things when doing this build. We were talking about how big did I want the array to be, and I want to be able to have all my tools all in one space. And so we went big. I mean, it's bigger than I will probably ever need, but I'd rather have more space than not enough space. So just spending all that time, I think I probably had 6 or 7 calls that are about an hour long with the design team, and that's even kind of knowing where I wanted to start out at. I knew what was important to me. For me, that red cabinet was important. As soon as I found that color, I was like, it didn't really matter. Like, a lot of the other stuff was probably not quite as important to me as that. And everybody who comes over, they always talk about, I love the color of these cabinets. But I knew in that space, it was gonna pop, and that's what I wanted to be the focus of the space. Go from empty space to a completed garage. Part of it is understanding what's important to you from the beginning. That's kind of step one. And then really you have to put the effort in to investigate all of the options that are available to you and determine which ones are the most important to you. And everybody's got constraints. I mean, even the richest person in the world has some sort of constraints. And so, using within the constraints that you live within, what can you do to, make yourself the happiest with the space? Look for the resources. You're not the smartest person. I'm not the smartest person. Listening to all these different people, taking little tidbits from each person, you're gonna learn a little bit from each person's experience, and then you apply that to what's most important to you, and make sure that piece is the best it can be. The other places, if you have to sacrifice somewhere else, those are the places that you're gonna sacrifice. I think that to me, for a project like this, I got this place that I can live out this fantasy of building at least what I think is the perfect garage. So I actually started in engineering and then converted to accounting. And so I kind of have that engineering brain along with my accounting kind of skill set. When I make an Excel spreadsheet for work, it's simple, it's easy to follow. That's how I like my space to be, is efficient and understanding the flow. So when I come and I want the screwdriver, I pull the screwdriver drawer out. That screwdriver is where it's supposed to be. I want everything to be organized and in its place. And so just being able to not have to do things to get it ready, not have to move things out of the way, get things, everything's got its space, that's gonna make a big difference in the user experience. If I didn't have the accounting engineering mind, I probably wouldn't be as worried about things being the way that they are. When you do something for 30 years, it somehow has an effect on you. Maybe it's nature-nurture thing. You definitely develop those habits so you can be efficient in doing what you need to do. For me in my house, this is like my space. My wife will park in here, but she doesn't really have any use for the garage space, and so it's really my space. Many people have different hobbies over their life that they want to get to a certain pursuit of getting to a certain level, and the garage for me has just been part of that pursuit of progressing on. My favorite thing in the garage is the lift. I think it's just gonna be super functional for me. I change tires all the time. So the fact that I can just easily in 5 seconds lift the car up, take off the wheels, do whatever I need to do is perfect. It is the right tool for me. Probably the best thing about this whole entire space is having that there. And then second probably is the cabinets right behind it, just ready to use the tools with the lift right in that space. So that's like the most prime real estate in the entire garage. That's where the Porsche will live its life, on top of the lift, so that it's ready anytime I need to use it. People ask me, like, what do you do? And I don't golf. I'm a car guy. And so when you meet those people that are just like you know, you can have that instant connection. You know, Matt was talking about, he's like, yeah, all your buddies are gonna wanna come over and use your lift to change their tires or whatever. Absolutely, you know, I know that's already that's gonna be something that's gonna happen. We're gonna use this space the way that it's intended. I'm a tax accountant, so I'm using my brain all day long, and it's good to just come and do something mechanical, something with your hands that at the end of the day, you're like, I did this, and I got it from this state to this state. And you know, lots of times, you know, anymore I do a tax return, I don't even print a paper out anymore. It all gets done electronically, digitally, and so you don't really get that feel of actually getting something done. Here you can actually do something at the end of the day. You walk away from something that's different, better than when you started. Yeah, so the pursuit of functional excellence is really the continual search, whether that's, you know, the lift to lift your car up, you know, whether that's the actual physical tools you're using to work on your car. You know, things are always evolving. Everybody's always coming out with new things. You know, there may not be a new mousetrap, but there's always kind of an evolution of everything. And so constantly looking for that, you got to do that in life. I mean, I think that's what we're always trying to do, is to find that next best thing. It's not just the car thing, it's not just a garage thing. You have to really kind of stay focused on wanting to improve and improve and improve. And so looking for that thing and kind of growing and changing. And then thinking about it. Does this meet my needs? Because your needs are going to be different. You know, you're going to learn what you like, because you're not going to be the exact same as everybody else. Everybody's needs are a little bit different. And so does this meet my needs? For some people, that they may not value that better knife, that better lift, that better TV. And so for them, maybe okay is okay. This space and, you know, the things that I really care about, I want the best.
I think this is probably pretty darn close to perfection, but something's going to change. Something new is going to come out that's better than what we have today. We don't even know what that is. I will be constantly tinkering forever in that space, and it'll be mild improvements, but most people will walk in that space and they were in there today and they were in there 5 years from now, they'd be like, it's exactly the same as what it was. Because the basics are exactly the way that they were. It's the small things that I've done to make every little thing a little bit more efficient than it was before. And so I'm probably done most of the progressing at this point, but it won't ever stop.